Hi there, this is DE4102 Test 1 Review. This is the second video in this series. In this one I will look at question 3, parts B, question 2 and 3, and maybe that's all I get to look at. No, I'll look at question 5A as well. Right, for question 3b, you are given some information about a parabola. You are given the information that the parabola passes through x equals 1.5 and x equals negative 2.5 and that y passes through negative 15. So your first bet would be to try x minus 1.5 because that's coming from there, and x plus 2.5, and see if that equals y. Now if you check when x equals 0, y should equal negative 15. Now in this case it actually doesn't. So what we need to do is figure out what we need to multiply what we've got by to get negative 15, and a little bit of trial and error says that this is what we have to do. We have to multiply it by 4, and now we've got the parabola that were asked for. The next question gives you information in a table about a graph, and it gives you the picture of the graph, and you're given such numbers as -1, -3, 0, -2, 2, 6, etc., etc., and you're given a curve that looks like that. Now that should tell you it's a cubic. So your first bet would be to start with x cubed, but then if you look at the table that doesn't work. However, if you subtract 2 from x cubed, then that does indeed work. So the answer for that question was y equals x cubed minus 2. Let's have a look at question 5. You're asked to find the coordinates where y equals 0.5x minus 3 meets up with y equals negative 3x squared plus 2. So what you need to do is make these two equal to each other. And it's kind of a parabola, but if you rearrange it, it becomes a proper parabola. And you could tidy that up to make it 3x squared plus 0.5x minus 5. And then use the quadratic formula to find the x values. Another question that wasn't very well done was question 4, part B, part 2, where you're asked to solve for x. You're asked to solve log x plus 1 plus log x minus 1 is equal to log of 3. Now when you've got logs, you are multiplying the bits. And then if you undo the logging, if you take each side to the power of 10, then you're left with x plus 1 times x minus 1 equals 3. Expanding out the left-hand side, we get x squared minus 1 equals 3. Shifting the minus 1. Now here's where you needed to be careful. X is plus or minus 2, but if you check your answers, in actual fact, x can't equal negative 2, because if you put negative 2 into either of the brackets, you end up with trying to take the log of a negative number, which isn't possible. So you did need to try and see what worked. And let's see if I can squeeze in one last video in here, one last question. Question 6. You're given t equals 150 e to the negative 0.04 t. T obviously is time, and it's got to be greater than or equal to 0. You asked to find the temperature when T is 25. Now, I don't think anybody got that wrong. You needed to substitute it in, and you got 55.182 degrees, or thereabouts. Then the question asked to find the time taken to fall to half the original. Now, this is not the original temperature. The original temperature is when T is equal to 0. So when T is equal to 0, the temperature is 150 e to the negative 0.04 times 0, which is 150. Now, half of that is 75. Most of you knew what to do from there, that you were trying to solve this equation. Taking the natural log of each side and then dividing by negative 0.04 gives you T, which was 17 minutes. If you end up with a negative time, stop and think, whoa, I can't do that.